We will use two examples. The first example is one of the systems we have developed within the research group of Automatic Control, Robotics and Mechatronics at University of Almería. It's a spraying system that can be installed on autonomous equipment such as robots or on human-controlled devices. The second example is a competence that is modeling and control of greenhouses climate. Once you have logged into the Innovation Portal, on the right upper corner, you must click on the arrow next to your username, and you must click on Organizations. Then, you must click on the rightmost icon. The main page where you can add systems and competencies for your organization will be shown. Let's suppose that you want to register a system. You must click on the Add System button. Now, you have to input the name of your system. Autonomous sprayer in our case, and a keyword describing the purpose of your system. Spraying in this case. Here you have some examples of keywords for systems. After the input, you have to click on the Save button. In our example, we refer to a spraying system to be mounted on vehicles. Now you have to use the Agricultural Technology Navigator to choose the field or fields of application of your system. For this example, the system has been designed to deal with fruits and vegetables, so you must click on the Enter ATM button. Then the Agricultural Technology Navigator page will be displayed and you will be able to select the correct combination. For our system, we will need two different combinations, so we will input the first one and after that we will introduce the second. The ring colors of the wheel correspond to the colored bars on the left side. To begin with, we select the correct value for the entity ring, which is in this case is competence center. After that, we select an item for the input ring of the wheel. So we select equipment. The next step is to choose an item for the farm production and post-harvesting ring of the wheel. Let's suppose fruits for this first configuration. Next, we select a value for the distribution ring of the wheel. In our case, it's not applicable since our system is not specifically linked with any of the available options. Finally, we select under the consumer rings, which is also not applicable. We have now finished selecting the values within the Agricultural Technology Navigator wheel. Now comes the very important step of adding in detail the set of technologies supporting the system. An explanatory note explains what is meant to be added in this space. In our case, the technologies are this. Remember, don't forget to click on the Save button and you will be returned to the previous page. Notice that a rectangular box with the configuration of the wheel previously chosen appears in the section for ATM. In order to include the combination for the second field of application for our system, to save time, you can click on Options icon in the left bottom corner on the ATM for the autonomous sprayer. Then you can duplicate and edit the combination. In our case, we only have to change the selection chosen for the far production and post-harvesting ring of the wheel. We have to select vegetables. Remember that we must click on Save button again. Now we will see in the rectangular boxes the two combinations corresponding to the fields of application for our system. Now it's very important to fill in the next field in the form, a short summary of the system. In our case, a spraying system to be mounted on vehicles. Audiovisual material to showcase the system can also be uploaded by using the Add Audiovisuals button. In this case, we have 3 images, so we fill in the fields for each file, and then we will click on Add Audiovisuals button again. First, an image of the Inversus platform with the spraying system. And now we have to select the file including the image. And the full spraying system and its file and another one for the partial spraying system. Okay, now we have to indicate the technology readiness level of the system. In our example, it is 9. The spraying system is applicable to farms of any size, so we don't need to fill in the minimum farm size field. The software and hardware for our system are adaptable to the type of vehicle that will transport it in, and they can be customized to the needs of clients. So we mark yes here and here. The end users of our system are growers, and they don't need any specific knowledge to operate it. So we don't need to fill in the open test field. In our case, we don't have any guideline or training material, so we select no. We have 2 projects and 3 scientific publications related to this system, so we mark yes to the question whether the system has been applied or developed in a related project. And we fill in the open field. So we can edit the test. It's okay. Okay, one project and the other one. Okay, that's fine. We also answer yes to the question on scientific publications, and then enter the publication, either its URL or DOI. In this case, we have 3 publications. Okay. Now, the key services provided with the system must be entered. In this case, process optimization, technical support and upscaling, technology transfer, IoT, product design, and technologies integration. Finally, you must indicate if there is a commercial distributor for your system and any other additional information and comments. Remember to click on Save button, and after that click on Back to Overview. The page with the systems and competencies of the organization will be shown. It's important to note that in our example, our system appears as unpublished, so it's only visible for us. If we want to publish it, then we must click on Publish after click on the Options icon. A percentage gauge shows how complete is the status of the form. In this case, the display shows 85%. So we can edit it and we have to fill in this field, in this case corresponding to the commercial distributor. We have to click on No for our system, and we can fill in the minimum farm size with no limit test, for example. We click on Back to Review, and we have complete the form in 100%. In both cases, the information will be publishable. So this percentage indicator is only for your reference in order to see at a quick glance if you have filled in all the fields of the form. Well, now we are going to add the competence. We click on Add Competence button, and now we input the name of our competence. The name is Modeling and Control of Greenhouses Climate. And the keywords describing the purpose of our competence are climate modeling and climate control. Remember to click on Save button. Now we have to use the Agricultural Technology Navigator to choose the field or fields of application of our competence. In this example, our competence can be applied to vegetables, and we are capable of designing both the hardware and software parts. So we must click on the Enter ATM button. Then the Agricultural Technology Navigator page will be displayed, and you will be able to select the correct combination in the wheel. For our competence, we will require 2 different combinations. So we will input the first one and then we will introduce the second. First, input for equipment. For example, to start with, we select the correct value in the entity ring, which in this case is a competence center. Sorry. Okay. Then we select an item on the input ring of the wheel. We select equipment. Then we choose an item on the farm production and post-harvesting ring of the wheel, vegetables, for our case. And then we select a value on the distribution ring of the wheel. In this case, the option would be not applicable since none of the options is relevant to our competence. Finally, we select an option on consumer ring, which is also not applicable. We have now finished with the selection of the values in the agricultural technology navigator wheel. Now comes the very important step of detailing that set of technologies which support the competence. An explanatory note describes what is meant to be added in this space. In our case, these are the technologies supporting our competence. Remember, click on the Save button and then you will return to the previous page. Now, a rectangular box with a small icon appears with the previously chosen configuration of the wheel. To include the combination linked with the second field of application of our competence, we can duplicate and edit the combination. In our case, we only have to change the selection made on the input ring of the wheel. So we have to select software in our case. And remember to click on Save button. Okay, now it's very important to fill in the next field of the form, a short summary describing the competence. In this case, the competence is the modeling of climate behavior inside greenhouses, taking into account external inputs like radiation, wind speed, and manipulable inputs like heating, shading, and ventilation, and design and implementation of automatic controllers in order to assure an optimum performance. Available audiovisual material to showcase the competence can be uploaded using the Add Audiovisuals button. In this case, we will use the web page of our group, since it contains much material related to this particular competence. So we fill in the field's name and URL, and then we click on the Add Audiovisuals button. ARM web page, and here the URL. Okay, right. Now we will fill in the other fields of the form. The end users of our competence could be growers, companies, or organizations. And there are many projects and publications related to this competence. So we upload the link to our page again. Okay, here and here too. Okay, now we must enter the key services we provide related to our competence. In this case, we mark these key services. Okay. Finally, we indicate if we have any additional information and comments. Remember, click on Save button and then click back to Overview. The page with the systems and competencies of our organization will then be displayed. It's important to remark that in our example, our competence appears as unpublished, so it's only visible for us. If we would want to publish, then we should click on Publish and the option icon. A percentage gauge shows the completion status of the process. In this case, 100%. Okay, that's all. Thanks for your attention.